On this channel and on my blog at retroactivejealousy.com, I talk a lot about boundaries, red flags, and values in relationships and dating. In other words, what are the good signs that you should be looking out for in a potential long-term mate? What are the warning signs you should also be looking out for when you're looking for a partner to have a long-term relationship with? A lot of people on the internet, including myself, have very strong feelings about red flags and deal breakers and all the rest. In other words, very clear warning signs that maybe the person you're dating isn't suitable for a long-term relationship. However, as you approach this issue of vetting someone for a potential future relationship, you need to keep in mind the most important component of having values, of having red flags, of having boundaries when you're dating. In today's video, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about. My name is Zachary Stockill, and since 2013, I've been working one-on-one with men and women from all over the world, helping them sort through issues like values and boundaries in relationships, helping them sort through red flags and deal breakers, and also helping them overcome jealousy and/or retroactive jealousy in their relationships. If you'd like more information about my work or you'd like to work with me one-on-one, please visit my website at retroactivejealousy.com. So a lot of guys say, in particular guys, I hear women talk about this less, but I'm sure there are women talking about this. But a lot of guys talk a big game, shall we say, about their red flags and about their boundaries in relationships. In other words, they're dating a woman and they say they spot a red flag and they immediately bail, or they spot many red flags and they immediately bail, or they know what their deal breakers are, they know what they're not prepared to live with, they know what they're not prepared to deal with. A lot of guys talk a big game about this stuff. However, it seems to me in practice, not in some internet fantasy, not in some comment board thread or anything like that, in practice, a lot of guys neglect the most crucial component of having red flags, of having clear boundaries in your dating life. And that is having the courage to live true to your boundaries and your deal breakers, and when necessary, having the courage to walk away. Because I don't see that as much as I would like to among men who are reaching out to me for dating advice, for example. A lot of guys, again, they talk a big game and they're fixated on perhaps their partner's past, and they see all these red flags and all these things that they know in their heart is a clear deal breaker. All these clear warning signs that the person they're entering a long-term relationship with is not really suitable long-term. In other words, they know that the woman they're dating is not the best choice for a long-term relationship for them, and they know deep down that they probably should let this woman go. Yet still they don't. They don't have the courage to live true to their values. They don't have the courage to live true to what they say they believe. Because there is a huge difference between saying you have values and living true to them. A lot of people talk about the former. A lot of people love to talk about their values, yet they don't really live true to them, yet they don't really exemplify them or demonstrate that they're living true to them in any meaningful way. So what does it look like to live true to your values? Now, this is going to sound kind of obnoxious to some of the people watching, but I'll use myself as an example. Now, I want to be clear. I have not always had the courage to live true to my own values. There have been times in my life where I was talking a big game about something, particularly I would say in my early 20s, but there were times when I haven't had the courage to live true to my own values. So in sharing this example, I'm not trying to say that, oh, look at me, I'm so perfect. I always have the courage to live true to this stuff. I know it's not easy. I know it's hard. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at this process. So what is an example of having deal breakers, of having certain boundaries in your relationship and having the courage to live true to them? In my 20s, I was dating a remarkable woman who I had a great connection with, and she was absolutely wonderful in all kinds of ways. She was loyal, she was trustworthy, we had a great intellectual connection, she was fun. I absolutely adored this woman. We've been dating for about a year, and the time came where she hit that point, which many people do, where she was ready for family. She wanted to have kids, she wanted to get married, and she wanted to do those things with me. Now, if I had taken the approach of a lot of guys, frankly, what would a lot of guys do in that scenario? They would string her along because they like the girl, they like the sex, they like the attention, they like the affection, and they have a scarcity mentality around dating. And on some level, they feel like if I lose this woman, that's it for me. I'm never going to find a woman as amazing as this ever again. So they won't live true to their values. They won't live true to their boundaries, because if they feel like they're not ready for marriage, kids, moving in together, whatever, my feeling is they need to be 100% upfront and honest about that for the benefit of everyone involved. Because in my view, there are certain goals that you should have for your life that are above any one person. And you shouldn't compromise on those goals, because when you compromise on those goals, everything in your life suffers as a result, including your relationship. So to go back to my example, At that particular phase of life that I was in no way ready to be a father, to be a husband, to be living with someone. I had big goals in my business, in my work, in my professional life that I was working towards. I had big audacious plans for the future. I wasn't in a financial state that could handle having a family depending on me. And so what did I do? I was honest about that with my girlfriend at the time. I told her how much I loved her, how much I cared for her, but I had to be honest. I told her that I can't give you these things right now, and I don't know when I'll be able to. It might be a long time. And what happened? She walked away, as she should have. Because again, if you have certain goals that you're working toward in your life, and they're deeply meaningful and deeply important to you, you shouldn't compromise on those goals. Whether it's related to your career or your mission as a man or as a woman, or things like having kids and wanting to get married. Because I knew that was important to her. Having kids and having a family was really important to her. So she should have left me to go pursue those things, and that's exactly what she did. I'm glad that we made that decision, and so is she. Everything worked out well, because neither one of us were willing to compromise on our core relationship values, on our core goals as human beings that are above any one person, above any one relationship. That's what it means to have boundaries in your dating life, boundaries in your relationship life, and live true to them. And again, I got better at this, as hopefully we all do, the older I became. But I wish I'd been more clear about this stuff earlier, because it isn't always easy when you meet someone and you fall in love and you adore this person and the sex is great and things are going so well, whatever, and you don't have shared values, you don't have shared boundaries. It isn't easy to walk away from that person, but quite often that is the best thing to do for everyone involved. Quite often that's the most loving thing to do. Going back to my example, I care deeply about this woman, and I know she had certain goals and certain boundaries and certain things that she was working towards that she shouldn't compromise on and that would serve her really well in the long term. Of course, breakups are painful, breakups hurt, but I knew long term what she wanted I couldn't give her, and I wanted her to have those things. I think one of the worst things anyone can do in dating is compromise on your core values and waste everyone's time in the process. Because if I'd compromised on my core values, I would have been miserable, I would have been resentful over time. No one would have been served by that. I wouldn't have been a good boyfriend or husband because I'd be feeling resentful because I was compromising on my core boundaries, my core relationship needs. Similarly, if she had been willing to compromise on her core boundaries, on her relationship needs, she would have been miserable over time too. Because again, that sense of resentment would build and build and build because she's not living true to who she really is. She's not living true to her values, her boundaries. So the whole point of this video is to really encourage you to think hard about your boundaries, red flags, deal breakers in dating and relationships. Think hard about what you want and what you don't. And then, by all means, have the courage to live true to them, because the most important component of having values is living true to them, no matter what the cost is. Okay, rant over. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for bearing with me through this kind of intense video, but it was something I felt like I needed to get off my chest. If you got anything out of this video, please take a minute to let me know by clicking the like button below. I'll also ask you to leave a comment beneath this video telling me what you think, good, bad, ugly. I would appreciate hearing from you. And while you're at it, please be sure you subscribe to my channel as well to be notified of new videos moving forward. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.